Hello, welcome back to Most Haunted Live from this opulent hotel, a magnificent Victorian Gothic architecture in the heart of central London. Now, before the break, I talked about the second experiment, this electronic voice phenomenon. Now, Kieran, you're here to tell us a little bit about it. What are we going to do?
Electric voice phenomena is essentially another channel of possible communication with the spirit world. That's essentially what it is, and we've got a radio here set up to try and communicate with the spirit world.
So we're going to try to communicate with the spirit world.
The radio is going to be tuned into white noise, and we're hoping that people at home can hear messages that are going to come through the white noise.
OK, thank you for that. Before we do that, let me just tell you that if you have just tuned in, my word, you've missed so much. Already we've sent the Most Haunted team to the basement, to the opium den. Derek Okora has sensed enormous spiritual presence here in this Midland Grand Hotel. There is so much still to come, but this is what's happened so far.
Decided to try and ask a few questions, just to see in response to anything or answer any questions. So we're going to try that now.
No, it sounds silly, doesn't it? But here, this is all brickwork. But I felt as if this man actually drowned because it's as if I was coming up for the last time, I went choking, and he just drowned, and he couldn't get out. And yes, I come here, and for some reason, I know this spirit comes on a regular basis, from up, right down into this basement area. One of the staff drowned in the water tank. They lost him for 4 days. Both of these two lost their lives in some form of drowning.
Right, so it is time for the second of tonight's experiments, this electronic voice phenomena. Let's talk us through what we're going to do. We've got the radio here.
Yeah, and at the moment it's set at white noise, 1475 kilohertz. We're going to hold the microphone up to the radio for about 20 seconds, and then we're going to play it back for the TV viewers at home, and they're going to essentially call in if they hear names, if they hear messages, anything that's coming through from the spirit world.
Now, I've seen this on movies before. What's the rationale behind this?
Well, it's another theory as to the idea of communicating with the spirit world. Some people say that they can communicate through mediums. Well, a medium is one channel. Other people say, well, spirits can communicate through this channel. They're communicating through white noise, and this is the only way that they can get through.
And this is medium wave, yes?
Medium wave, and we've got it set at 1475 kilohertz. But a lot of people say you can set it up, as long as it's set up to white noise and there's no other interference from nearby radios or things like that, then it's fine. You can still do the experiment in that way.
OK, all right. So let's do this now. All right, let's just turn this up. So let me just do that. Right, now what we need to do is everyone here, all the audience who are next door and all the audience at home, we need people to concentrate, and we need to be quiet for 20 seconds. Let's record this noise for 20 seconds, and I want people at home to listen very carefully and see if they can hear anything at all. So that's 20 seconds. What did you hear?
I heard nothing. I heard white noise, and that's it. And normally what happens in this sort of experiment is that you'd play it back again and again and again and try and pick out messages.
OK, but this, I know that this is actually, has to be done on an audio cassette.
Yes, that's the traditional way of doing it.
as we come down here, come and have a seat. Let's play that back for you now. We've got that 20 seconds. Stay at home, concentrate, listen to see if you can hear anything apart from that white noise. Listen, here is the noise again. Anything at all?
Nope, I can't.
Okay, well, what did you hear at home? We want you to tell us. You can ring us on 08712 448804. That's 08712 448804. You can also text us, don't forget, on 80088. Text the word haunted, leave a space, and then tell us what you heard. Maybe you heard nothing. Maybe you heard something. Maybe it is a way to connect with paranormal activity. Now, it is time to go to the next of our locations. We now join Yvette, Derek, and the rest of the team who are outside room 10.
Well, we're not actually outside room 10, David. We've actually just come inside. Now, this is quite a famous room here in the hotel because there's some paranormal activity that's been going on here. And just so you know a little bit more about it, here's some videotape of room 10.
If you follow the main corridor to the very back of the hotel and ascend the staircase, you will find one room, and one room only. Welcome to room 10. There are no other entrances and no exits. Here is where we'll investigate the mystery of the vanishing man. He appears on the staircase leading up to room 10, and when followed, he vanishes through the door. The same door that opens on its very own. Brian Bellamy and Greg Miles were given the mission to investigate room 10. Armed with paper and pens, their task was to try and make contact with the spirits using automatic writing.
Harry, that's your name. Could you show us something? Could you show us it again, please?
This is absolutely fantastic.
And again, please.
Please. I don't know, it just feels as if it's in front of me. So,
let's just see if we can get any. He keeps talking, I'll see whether we.
It's just.
Oh, there's an all just.
Quite cold, it's sort of like.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's sort of like, it's like feeling sort of like down.
Tingle down.
Yeah.
Could you show yourself by the door, please? Just make yourself known by the door. Could you show yourself to us on camera, please? Thank you. And again, thank you. Thank you very much. That was nice.
Well, here we are. We have actually got Brian and Greg with us. So just take us through. That was quite weird, wasn't it, what was happening to you, Brian?
It was, especially by the door area. Picked up a lot of tension and cold spots, and then from the camera we saw lots of orb activity. Yeah. So it's quite amazing, really.
Weird, because we just sort of like would say to them, can you like show us again? And again we'd see one instantly on command.
Now, are you both sort of believers, true believers?
I'm sceptical, willing, open-minded, and
yeah,
pretty much
definitely. It's sort of something I'm really fascinated by. I'd like to know a lot more about it. Until I've got actual proper hard evidence, then I won't make up my mind.
Do you think that if you came to this particular room and you had no idea that it was supposed to be haunted, do you think then that you would have been as scared or as apprehensive?
I don't know, because when you're actually in this room, sort of in the dark, it does feel slightly oppressive. You know, sort of like it feels almost closed in. So, especially with the hallway as well.
Yeah, there's the same feelings, really.
It's interesting, actually, because what's just happened on the EMF?
Well, I just went over to the doorway with the EMF meter and got a peek on the meter.
Do you want to go and have a see if it does it
again?
Yeah,
a second or two later, there wasn't one there, so I just...
That's quite interesting.
That sort of ties in from our investigation.
Did you get any EMF fluctuations?
We didn't have the reader. All we have is the digital camera.
Do it a bit slower. Nothing?
No.
I mean, there's leads there to the... OK, now then, I think it's... I mean, let's just show you a basic kind of look of the room here, because it is quite a very strange... I can understand why Brian and Greg, when they spent the night here, it is quite a sort of... I mean, I don't know if you can see all of this up here. You can see all the ceiling, and it's actually quite grim. And down here, you've got to be really, really careful. Is a nice big drop with obviously we've got a light down there, but it's not a particularly nice place here at all. And maybe it'd be a good idea if we get Derek in. What do you think? Okay, Derek, are you there? Come on in, Derek.
Hiya, Beth.
Hello, love.
Hi.
This is a horrible room.
Well, the energy in the room is best part residual energy. However, at times I feel that this energy intermingles with the energy of activity. And that activity is caused, I feel, now, and it seems to be springboarding me around my auric field at the moment, especially when I come through the doorway.
Is it a good idea to actually go and stand near the doorway?
I think it is, actually, yes, because it may enhance itself more. But it's like as if it followed me back. And, oh, that's better, right, yeah. Okay. Oh. Now, this energy, now, what it's actually doing to me, it's making me feel, and I certainly don't suffer with this in my physical body, but as if I've got palpitations here, and that is in memory of something here with this male. Oh, not an old man, this. His energy is relatively young. I would say he would be younger than me in the essence of his energy. And it's like as if, I just feel as if this man dropped. He dropped, and it was not by the hand of another. He certainly wasn't murdered. He found himself alone, this was, I feel, because I'm getting this feeling of agitation with him, that he left his physical body and no one was around. And this is why he still treads up and down here, going through that misery of the feeling of looking down at himself. I'm getting a mental picture of a bedroom. And this mental picture is sticking rigidly with me here. And he's making it stick rigid with me. And it's as if he's lying there with his legs at the end of the bed. And I'm looking down at him. And he was quite a young man. What was that? Okay. Okay. I feel that this person, this man, poor soul, would have suffered some kind of major heart attack. Down. And just for a couple of seconds, those feelings in the residual energy stay with me.
Can we take the lights down just while you're
Yes.
doing there? I think it might be quite a nice idea. I don't think we can take the lights down too much in this room. We can only take them down a little bit.
And I feel his agitation roams up these upper levels here because, you know, there's a secrecy. Oh, my mind goes to like a feeling of, I'm secret. What is secret? There's a secrecy. I'm secret about something, and this is an agitation with him also, that he didn't, he was found, he'd already left his physical body, and there's I can't get through or break through the secret, but there's a secrecy connected with him, and it's like, can I use these words, Phil? It's like, I'm going to my grave, or I've come to my grave, or I've left my physical body, and no one really knows. No one really knows. It's like he's making me feel here. He is definitely not residual energy. This one walks. Who is it, Sam?
Give us a name, Derek.
W. Go on. W what? What does that stand for? Okay, you want me to say that full link, okay? He's given me whatever that stands for. W, and he's spelling it S-C-O-T-T. Scott.
W. Scott.
I feel it must be W and a connection with Scott. It stopped there with him. This man would have only been... I feel he would have only been in his 40s.
Do you have a mental picture of him? Is there any way of you describing how he looks or what he wears or anything like that?
Well, which I did get briefly, a man that would probably, I'm not very good with age, with spirit people, but he wasn't in any way elderly. This man would be quite young for passing in the manner in which he did.
Did you just touch my hip then?
I don't think so.
You did.
Did I?
Did you touch my hip?
No, I didn't.
Did you do that?
No.
I didn't see his hand go over to you.
Honestly,
Okay, did you feel something then?
I just felt somebody poke me in my left hip.
Well, I don't.
No, it wasn't me.
Because I'd look from that angle there.
I put my
very
clip
much
down
so
like
now.
that, but I'm not. I'm no
You know,
mean.
we've got to take into consideration, he'd be listening to this conversation right now.
Is he in... Does he come in sort of visitation, as you say, or is he resident here?
This man, I feel, is actually here.
I have to say, the spelling out S-C-O-T-T, Richard Felix, why are you so excited about that?
Because I was spelling it out as he said it. George Gilbert Scott's grandson died in this hotel, but he was here
Now,
under a
George
pseudonym.
Gilbert Scott was the architect
Yeah.
of this hotel.
So, of course, this chap staying there would be proud, wouldn't it? It was his granddad. His granddad created it. Proud man, that gentleman saw in that room. I'm wondering whether I'm perhaps wrong, and it wasn't the manager's office, but this could well have been a room set aside at the back of this building for other purposes. Because you must remember that Mr. Scott...
What do you mean,
other purposes? This is an area of red light district as well, still is to this day around King's Cross Station. Perhaps, because this gentleman was actually here under a pseudonym. He was not staying here under his own name, and he died of a heart attack. I daren't say more.
And in fact, Derek does say he has palpitations and in his 40s. Tell us more about that.
Well, it was a very posh room. I wonder whether it was, as I say, for the ladies of the night. I wonder whether he actually...
What are you saying, Richard
I'm
Felix?
saying there's every possibility that he was having an illicit affair with someone here and probably died in bed.
With a lady of the night?
Who knows?
Loving that. Love that. Kieran, come on. What do you make of this now? Don't tell me it's interesting.
I won't.
He's come out with Scott, and Scott is the grandson. We know he died in this hotel.
Yes.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it is very good, and at least we're not just getting first names, which is always a frustration in these
You
sort
wanted
of
a
cases.
surname, you've got
I
one.
wanted a surname, and I've got one. However, it's Scott, it's the son of the architect, famous because he's the architect of this particular hotel. And again, I have to take issue with, is this information in the public domain? Could it have been found out before? And that's what I have to stick with.
So you're still remaining a sceptic at this point?
Yes, yes.
Don't go away. Stay with us. We'll see you in just a few minutes' time. Now, it's time to go to the next of our supposedly haunted locations here in the Midland Grand Hotel. It is time to see the stairwell, the East Stairwell. In 1873, the East Wing opened to the public, 3 years before the rest of the hotel became active. It is here on the public stairwell that a young maid plunged to her death while serving at the hotel. Whether she fell or whether she jumped, the exact details are very vague. But the hotel gave distinct signals when they raised the handrails to prevent any subsequent accidents. Could she be the figure of the girl seen hovering on the staircase? Our two most haunted viewers, Anthony Massey and Emma Mackenzie, both arrived at the hotel to uncover the mystery of the East Wing stairwell. With the aid of a digital camera, they set about trying to capture a ghost on film using spirit photography.
How you feeling now?
Really scared.
Why are you scared? Well, we've just asked to if she'd show herself. We did hear a shuffle, which did seem closer than any of the noises that we've heard before. Yeah, put it down to any paranormal activity, but there was a shuffle, there was, and we heard it. It sounded like it was coming from just there.
Don't leave me. Anthony, please come here, don't.
Still feeling scared?
Yeah. Even more so as time goes by.
It's getting darker and colder and colder.
I'm lonelier.
I'd like to see an orb.
It's totally different watching this on TV and doing it. Totally different.
Emma, you sound a little bit freaked out.
I don't know why, because I have what I like to believe I've lived in a haunted house, but this room just made me feel, sad and scared because I didn't know what was going to happen, to be honest.
Did you know what had supposedly happened with the...
I did, yes, but I felt sad anyway as I walked in. I don't know, I just felt really uneasy.
How did you feel?
Well, I felt really uneasy when I first came here. Like, even being here now feels like there's a presence watching me. My friend Richard told me about the history of the building. Couldn't prepare me for it, not one bit.
And it's not paranormal, but you do actually look a bit like Tom Cruise. I just thought I'd say that. No.
Thanks.
Now, apparently there were some orbs on the VT, but I have to say, if you look actually on the ground, if the camera can actually look on the ground, you've got, again, an awful lot of dust here, which, you know, can cause, as we've already said, an awful lot of light anomalies, which people mistake for, you know, supposedly, you know, orbs. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you'd like to go out, because I think what we'd like to do now is take the camera and turn the lights down, if we possibly can. I do know that it's absolutely freezing in here. I mean, the whole place is so cold, but this place... Is it possible to turn the lights down? There we go, we've turned them off. Okay, we've got the crew here. There's Paul. Are you feeling anything, Paul, at all?
There's quite a lot of a draft.
There is a bit. It is quite cold.
Supposed to be here earlier.
No, it is quite cold, actually. It is very, very cold. And of course, let's have a look up the staircase as well, which is quite... It actually is a very, very... My camera is failing, apparently. Oh, it's back? Okay, can you see what I'm looking at now? It is quite a freaky staircase, and there's lots of draft coming through there, but at the moment, I'm not feeling anything, apart from being absolutely freezing. It is so cold. And you can actually see some of the cobwebs there just sort of moving about. So there is a draft, and there's Derek. Derek, do you want to come in? And see if you can, come and see if you can feel anything at all. And Phil. Can you feel anything?
At this moment now, this like, again, this is to do with residual energy again, and just going through the feelings of the upper floors. And as we're on the ground floor here, I'm, you know, psychically being counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get to the 4th level from this ground, and who? Thank you, Sam. This young lady, please, who was 3, close on 4 months pregnant, carrying boy child, actually did plunge from that 4th level. Who? Right. This young lady, please, was a mere 19 years of age. 19 of it. And she was a very, very attractive young lady. And she'd already, thank you, Sam, she'd informed one particular person.
Oh. Sorry.
Of her pregnancy. And he said that she could no longer stay doing what she's doing. She was just absolutely heartbroken. Such a way that, you know, she lost her thoughts when she was up there on that 4th level. And this wasn't either, she took her own level, she jumped, she come over.
Why was she so unhappy?
She was unhappy because the person that she confided in, the man, I feel was her, she was, I don't know whether she was a maid to him or a servant or something, and he said that she was finished and so on and so on. But there was something else behind it, Ivy. Now, it's even better. Thank you for the energy, Sam. You know, behind the links with this, the reason why she informed him, her name is Elizabeth. Come on, please. Come on, please, sweetie. Please give me it.
Who made that bang then, by the way? Who made the bang? There was a bang there. Did you bang on something? Did nobody else hear that?
I heard it.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I felt it as well.
You felt it?
Okay. Elizabeth Brownlow. It's either Brownlow or Brownlow. Brownlow. Elizabeth Brownlow. And the man that she confided in, she told him, and she expected some kind of a loyalty because he was the father of this child she was carrying. And he was linked in marriage elsewhere, and he was much older than her. And this is why she decided to come over. This was not an accident. She did take her own life. Bless her. She needs releasing from this energy field here. She doesn't want to be here. She does not want to be here. She's so distressed. She's up and down the stairs at times. She never goes beyond the 4th level.
Is she here now?
She's in the energy.
Right.
Can we go up to the 4th level?
I don't know. We'll have to. Can we go up to the 4th level or not?
Do you want me to go have a look?
I don't know if we can.
Could you go up, Phil, and just use your monitor, because her energy, it's like as if she's going through that.
Oh.
that absolute hell state of mind before she took the plunge. All was lost to her. God love her.
I don't know how far this cable will go with the camera.
God love her.
Can we string it over the... We're having problems here with the cabling. See if we can get the camera to go up. God, it's a horrible staircase. It's a really horrible staircase. It's cold, it's echoey, it's not nice at all.
This is the soul that was earlier giving me Elizabeth, Lizzie, and now we come to the area of her.
Well, that's a draft from that door there. That's a draft from that door there. Nothing up here, Phil.
Nope.
Is this where you mean, Derek, or even higher?
It's a higher level. Just next level.
Can we go any higher, guys?
One more level.
One more? Oh my God! She threw herself from up here.
Yes.
Oh my
she come
God.
Over. And you know, she left her physical body instantly. In other words, she killed herself instantly.
God.
Just
this
here?
Is the level, yes.
This one?
Yes, here.
Oh, look at it. It goes even further. Look at that. Wow, up there.
Yes.
Oh, what a drop.
This is the level that she come over.
Oh.
And the energy up and down.
Where did she throw herself from, Derek? Do you know?
I feel these conditions, she actually, rather than the top here, come over the side, I feel.
Here?
Yes.
Where I am now?
This energy where you are now.
Can you feel her? Can you feel her?
I just want to see the conditions. Yes. Her energy, okay, it's not so much in reactment. She wants to... and as I get her energy field, you would not think that this young lady was pregnant. There's no, like, as she was. But she knew she was pregnant and informed him of it.
So are you saying that whoever she was pregnant by...
Yes.
She informed him of it?
Yes.
And he wouldn't have anything to do with it?
No,
and so
he was dismissing her, told her to go and what have you. She had nowhere. That was a role of a job. It was just a hopeless situation for her. And, you know, not thinking clearly and what have you, she came to this area and she just took herself over.
Oh, what a horrible... I have to say, this is a really horrible place.
Well, her energy is still here in its essence, and it's still here in 3 different roles. First, there is a certain amount of anger as well.
Look at here, there, wobbled out there. Look at here, there, wobbled out there. What does she look like, Derek?
Right, a description. She's actually, I mean, you're very slim yourself, but this girl's even slimmer than you. She's a little bit taller. Her hair, the way she had it up bobbed, okay, and a bob in here, light hair, very, very, very high cheekbones, and dimples, I suppose. But, you know, the booties and what have you that I saw her wearing, and also the purple and the blue long dress, and that seems to be tightened here at this level. And I also get some kind of what she wore to the right-hand side in her hair, a clip.
Okay, you carry on talking, Derek, because we're going to go over to David. David, this is a really freaky place. This is not nice at all.
I was there earlier today. I have to agree with you. Now, come over here. This is Rebecca. We spoke earlier. You mentioned, and I said, watch on, you mentioned this affinity you have with a pregnant woman.
Pregnant woman, yeah.
You're trembling.
Yeah, I feel really spooked now. I'm really cold and shaking, and I've got tingling right down the right side of my body. And I said to my husband, I felt someone was sitting by me that was touching me. I also said to him earlier that I felt this woman killed herself because she got pregnant by a married man, and I think Derek's just said something about her being pregnant by a married man.
The story goes that we believe that this woman threw herself off that staircase because she was pregnant and couldn't be pregnant out of wedlock.
Yeah.
Let's go up here. Thank you for that. Let's go up here because we've actually got some other faces from Living TV. First of all, let's just say hello to Tony, your street psychic. You also are on Living TV on this show, Street Psychic.
Right,
now, tell me, what do you make of tonight?
It's absolutely fascinating. Sitting here is incredible. I'm very much aware of a young guy. There's an absolute sense this guy did not commit suicide. Not wishing to make everything gruesome this evening, but I know this guy's got unfinished work. And
what do you mean?
Effectively, people thought he killed himself, and I know he didn't.
Who didn't?
This young guy that I'm picking up from the spirit world.
So what are you saying? He was murdered?
He was murdered. Absolutely.
By who?
I'm not sure. It's two fellas, two guys that
Where
came
was
behind
this?
him.
Where should we go? Tell me now. We'll send Yvette and the team there.
When I was watching the footage with Room 10, I felt it more there than
Room 10?
Anywhere else, absolutely.
OK, do you want to go into Room 10?
I'd love to.
OK, we'll send you into Room 10. Colin Fry, very quickly, what do you make of this evening?
You're
also a medium from Living TV.
Absolutely fascinating. Well, I've been picking up on this young coloured boy, and he's told me 4 times now that he knows 2 secrets about this place. He has also recently shown me, as we've been sitting here, that he has wheel marks on his back. He was beaten to keep quiet. But he
What
knows,
are the secrets?
He knows about 2 incidents in this place where there was a suicide that was forced upon a young woman, and he knows the secret of a young man that died, and it was said to be suicide, and it wasn't.
Thank you very much, Colin. Stay with us, because after the break, we're going to send all 3 of our Living TV mediums into Room 10 to find out the truth behind this allegation of murder. Stay with us. Don't go away.
See, so much has happened already in the Midland Grand Hotel. Now then, we are back in Room 10, and we've got 2 visitors who've surprised us and come along, and we've got Tony Stockwell and also Colin Fry. Now, apparently, you were saying, Tony, that you think that a murder has been committed down in the basement. Is that right?
Absolutely. I'm standing here now, and I'm trying to pick up on this energy, and I feel absolutely petrified. I have this very strong image of a young guy, 27, 28 years of age. I feel I'm actually he was chased through this door and into this room. I know he's been followed by 2 big guys, 2 huge guys. And as I've tried to tune into that energy, it's such a sense that these guys were sent by the young man's father. In some way, this young man had embarrassed his father, he had embarrassed his family. This guy was such a sensitive and a loyal and a loving guy, but was not as the family wanted him to be. And I sensed that there was, as I opened myself up to his memory, that I had this restriction around my throat, and I felt I was either being choked or being pulled up by a rope or something.
Can you give us a name for this man?
I've tuned in and I have tried desperately to find a distinct name. The only word that keeps coming to my mind is Archie. Now, I'm not saying it's his name, but I know it connects around him and very, very strongly. But I feel almost as though he had this love for Archie, and that's what I feel.
You're getting quite emotional, aren't you?
I can feel very strongly his energy with me. And I'm literally shaking all over. It's so weird. But I know in some way he wants to say that he had not killed himself. It was actually, his life was taken.
Can you give me a surname to Archie? I know it's a lot to ask.
Whether it goes with Archie or it's actually independent, but it's like Jones or something with Jones on the end.
Okay, what about you, Colin? What are you picking up?
Ever since I've arrived here this evening, I've had 4 times now I've seen this young coloured boy. dressed like a page, turban. He looks much too dark to be Indian. I think he was just dressed up in that way. I've seen him 4 times. He's told me on 4 occasions now that he knows a secret. He knows 2 secrets. And the last time I saw him, in my mind's eye, he showed me that he had wheel marks on his back where he was beaten to keep quiet. As soon as we came into this room, I felt his presence with me again. And there are 2 spots where on both occasions my jaws clamped together as if I had the presence of or the feeling of a young man.
Can you take us there?
Literally clamped his jaws in terror, absolute terror. And one of them is actually over here, looking out over the window. And even though this is like it's open window space, it is unnaturally cold here. It does not feel natural. It's a cold of terror. And the other place is over there. And I feel as though this young man was over here. That door was burst open. He ran in terror from there to there. And he got himself stuck into this corner, and he got stuck into this corner, and he had nowhere to run to, and his jaw was clamped together in terror. As it came upon me, it was like lockjaw. He was in like absolute terror.
Now this actually secrecy, Derek, you picked up on that, didn't you, earlier on?
I did, Ivy. And you know, linking in with the 2 gentlemen here now. Colin and Tony, is that I've got an extension, maybe their energies have helped this as well, is when we were talking about names, I get very strongly Herbert. There's a connection with Herbert. Now, do you understand this?
I can add to that. There was 2 men, and one of them, this is coming through to me really strongly now, one of them, his surname or his nickname was Scally. Scally or Scully, but it doesn't feel like a proper name, it feels like a nickname.
I just heard something in my ear from the gallery. Can you tell me that again about the information that you've just... Herbert the Hangman, apparently. Well known in this hotel. I take that to be he was a hangman, or was that just his nickname? That was his nickname. Okay, so there you go. That's very interesting. So, are you all picking up on a similar kind of energy?
Yes, you've got 2 mixtures coming in. You've got 2 energies, and in actual fact, that falling down of this massive heart seizure with this relatively young man, he's come up here, which I want to maintain he did not lose his life here. However, since Tony and Colin's arrival, I'm making those links, okay? I've got to say, you've actually helped those conditions open up in the atmosphere, thankfully. And, okay, the name Herbert, maybe, I don't know if that's the surname, Scally or Scully, and also if he was a hangman, well, there you are. Other conditions actually happened here.
I just want to add, really, this energy that Colin's already mentioned here was so intense when we first walked in, and this is the area that effectively affected me so much. I felt literally I was being throttled in that place. And the energy is still there. I would defy anyone that's with an ounce of sensitivity to walk into this room and not feel that in that area.
Can you show us physically what you're talking about?
The only thing I can tell you with absolute truth is the sense of something being around my throat, and literally I'm being pulled backwards. And as Colin was talking, there was this sense of these 2 men after this young guy, and one of them was a big guy, had a massive scar here, down his face. And this guy was absolute evil, absolute menace. It's a sense of being just simply petrified.
And Tony, as you say that, I'm just picking up something else. There's something incredibly peculiar about one of the eyes of the guy, one of the guys that came through the door and terrorised the guy. There's something peculiar about it. It's almost like it's got a mark in it.
Yes, or blind in it.
Yeah, it looks blind, but it's not. That's what it looks like. It looks like a blind eye, but it's not. It's a peculiarity or a scar actually in the eye.
You really are very shaken by all of this, aren't
you? Absolutely. I just feel as though there's a job of work needed to be done, almost like to be cleared from this room, but it's more of the spirit of this guy that needs to be helped.
Well, I think...
It's the terror.
I think the best... Final word from you, Derek?
Well, I feel very, very strongly, as I've just said a moment ago, about Tony's and Colin's arrival, which happens sometimes in locations where something will be picked up as far as energy, and yet here's two other sensitives that have come in, which then is allowing this other energy, two separate conditions altogether, actually coming in. But the name Herbert, most definitely is at the forefront of all these conditions.
OK, well, I have to hand back now to Richard, Felix and the other experts, and of course David.
Thank you very much, Yvette. We were just actually discussing something. You know, we spoke about this murder, this brutal attacking in that room. Well, this is slightly unnerving, which is that one of our most haunted viewers who went into room 10, if you remember, they spent the evening here, wrote this letter. And in this letter, wait for this, he writes, "Protect me from the man. He is near, he follows me. This room has many stories. I am 55 years old from 1812, and I was brutally attacked here." 1812 doesn't tie in, but, you know, the brutal attacking, how would you explain that?
As I said at the beginning of the programme, there's 2,000 years of history here, and before this was built, there were at least 3,000 houses around this area. It was called Agar Town. They were mainly slums.
And it was demolished, wasn't it?
Demolished. So you see, the things that could have happened on the site, I don't know. Perhaps.
I mean, there are tons of stories about brutal murder, but our mediums didn't know about this letter, and that, for me, is
it ties in very much with what they're saying upstairs.
Come on, you're very quiet.
It ties in, yes, and
is that because we want it to tie in?
Well, possibly, yeah, because given the circumstance, given the context, the environment, we're going to come up with more negative information. And certainly the mediums have come up with negative, and we've got negative information. The interesting thing here is the name John Williamson. Richard and I were talking about some of the information that we get is ambiguous, vague, you can't verify it. Perhaps we could verify the name John Williamson.
What an amazing night for Living TV. What an amazing night for us. Incredible stuff has been going on here tonight. And we have sent the Most Haunted live team around the various locations, as driven by you, the viewers. What an evening. But I have to say, hats off to our Most Haunted team. And I really want all of you guys here, please will you welcome back into the Most Haunted Hub, please will you welcome Yvette Fielding and Derek Acora. Okay. That's enough.
Of course, we haven't been able to see anybody. Hello.
I know, hundreds of people have packed in here to see you. OK, come on, let's cut to the serious stuff here. Derek, what about the night for you? How's it gone?
It surprised me, actually, David, because when we first started, you know, I didn't expect two energies to come to me before we started. And as the night progressed, there was a mixture of the residual energy, and I felt, I don't know how you felt, quite a lot of information. I hope that information was either correct or near to it.
I was very surprised. I've never seen you stumble like you did right at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, well, it did, and it stopped my thought of what I wanted to say. And it's a first, but then again, in this way, you know,
you never know.
No one never knows.
No. What about you, Yvette? What sort of night have you had?
I've had a very interesting one. I always love working with Derek, and it's always a surprise to me every time he comes out with some information, and of course we find it to be correct or nearly correct, which I find brilliant. Slightly disappointing. I would have hoped for some more sort of activity, especially down in the basement level. I did find one thing particularly interesting though, which was the
the prodding
poke there on the hip.
And you really felt
that?
Yeah,
it was just as strong as that. So that was quite interesting.
Well, do you know, I was just jotting down, as I do, what you came up with, and you have. I mean, you know, you came up with these names: Edward Larkins, Catherine Hoyes. Do you remember in the Opium Den earlier on? Yeah. You also mentioned this Scott, which this guy Palpitations who died. I mean, and I think one of the members of the audience here talked about the pregnant woman, which and viewers at home picked up on that as well. And then you said it. That for me was impressive.
Well, you can only but try. And if those lovely people, spirit people who are active, can come forward, as some of them tried, you know, it can help greatly. And I thought, you know, the ones that we actually linked with did us proud in the sense that, you know, they wanted to link with us. They don't have to, do they?
No, absolutely. Well, thank you for the moment. Now, please really welcome back our other experts, Richard Felix and, of course, Kieran O'Keefe. And Phil Wyman. come here. Gather round. Let's have our experts. Right, okay, guys. Let's start with you, Phil. What do you make of tonight?
Interesting. Some interesting results. I'm not quite sure what's been caught on the webcams.
Okay.
But it'd be interesting to see what was caught on the webcams. But I quite enjoyed it.
And what do you make of, some of the stuff that Derek's come up with, this disturbance of burial ground, the trampling of Roman soldiers' feet in the basement?
That is so true. It's unbelievable. Again, Derek came out with the goods.
So you're convinced that there is paranormal activity in this hotel?
I wouldn't say I was convinced. There could be, but I'd love to do another investigation in here.
All right, okay. Kieran, where do you stand now?
Are
you nailing your colours to the mast?
I'm still on the fence, I'm afraid. Evidentially, for me, in terms of paranormal activity, I would say no. However, two interesting things for me this evening. One is the automatic writing experiment. We got some fantastic information through from that, some pictures, etc. And then...
Right, stop. Let's talk about those experiments. We did the automatic handwriting experiments. Let me just remind you, look at these drawings. These are, I don't know if you saw these earlier, these are the two fantastic drawings from people that automatically have drawn this. A woman called Elizabeth, which Derek came up with. We believe that may or may not have been the girl that committed suicide. And this, of course, a Roman soldier in the basement, Richard Felix.
Absolutely. A very good drawing of a
Very
Roman
good.
soldier. There were thousands of Roman soldiers around here.
So you're impressed. What about the night for you?
I'm terribly impressed. It's an excellent place. Of course it's haunted. All houses wherein men have lived and died are haunted houses. Look at the life and death that's gone on in here.
Yes.
Yes, of course it's haunted.
Let's go to Jane. Come in, Jane. You've been monitoring the situation at home. What's the roundup from you?
Well, in terms of sightings, a lot in room 10. A lot of people have connected it with a brothel. The man in room 10 connected it with homosexuality and transvesticism, which is rather interesting. We've heard voices in the basement. A little girl has been looking for Derek in the stairwell. A hunched figure has been seen in the basement, and a child following you, David, around.
Really? And viewers at home are convinced there is paranormal activity?
These are all sightings on the webcams as well as the live feed. In terms of the names, the interesting ones, Kieran, are the ones that preempted Derek.
Right.
Patrick, 3 people came up with Scott before Derek did. Elizabeth came up a lot prior to and after Derek's findings. And typical of the pictures we were getting through are these.
Brilliant.
Most of them are women and roughly drawn figures.
Thank you very much indeed, Jane. Okay. I'm afraid the time has come where we have to say thank you to all of you at home. Thank you to all our audience here. But I do really want to thank all our experts here, assembled here, who've given their opinions. Also to Richard, to Kieran, to Phil, thank you very much indeed. Yvette, of course, you've been fantastic.
Yep.
And, yes,
no,
I have.
Yeah, I was thinking of... No, I don't mean that. So, I was thinking about... Do make sure you tune in for the new series of Most Haunted.
Yeah, and that starts Tuesday, 9 o'clock on Living. Yeah. You need to see that. There's also going to be an update of tonight's show on Loose Lips, which is on, I think, at 5 to 2 tomorrow. Derek, final word to you. How has the night gone for you, and what do you expect from now on?
Well, tonight I thought was very good. Very good in the sense that we had a mixture of the energy of activity and also residual. And for the new series, or the second series...
Thank you very much. Brilliant. Thank you from all of us. Good night.